All right, I want to welcome everybody tonight. I also want to thank everybody tonight for coming by here and spending some time with us this evening. Recognizing all the sponsors, and we have the sponsors listed here, but more importantly, getting a chance to mingle with our very special guests that will certainly be making tomorrow's conference a very exciting, fun, memorable one. Josh, come on up here. So, this year's conference chair, Mr. Josh Mann. Say something.
I want to thank everybody for being here. This has been... I wanted to thank, that's why I said but it really has been a labor of love by myself and the conference committee. We spent the better part of the last 6 months putting this together. I can tell you that I think we've put together a great lineup. Really just amazing event tomorrow, and I'm glad that you guys were all able to participate as sponsors this year or speakers. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow and to hearing the great stories and the good news about the year ahead. Thanks, Al.
Very cool. Thank you, Josh. So, we do have some other special guests here tonight that I kind of like to recognize, and I don't think everybody in the room really knows them or knows who they are. So I'm going to start with the 2015 Navigating Change Award recipient. This is a guy that we'll get to hear all kinds of things about tomorrow, but he has done a lot more to put Lancaster and the Antelope Valley on the map than I believe most people in this room actually realize. Mr. Art Thompson, and he's here with his wife, Renata.
This is really an honor to be here with such a great group of people. Antelope Valley is an amazing place. It is really kind of the beginning of the right stuff. And, we need to bring that back and kind of encourage the business that makes Southern California so important. So it really is an honor to be part of such a great group of people and contributing to really all our futures. Thank you very much.
All right. Our two key lineup speakers for the conference are here with us this evening, and I certainly hope everybody's got a chance to drop by and introduce themselves and say hi and meet them. So I see that Mr. The famous Wally Amos is making his way across the room. Now, a lot of people don't realize that Wally's been with us all day, and he's been doing some very special things today. He's been visiting school children here in the Antelope Valley, and he's been reading in classrooms. This is the kind of place to be. So welcome, Wally.
Thank you very much, Al. I don't have a lot of voice tonight, so I'm going to stay undercover so that I have enough voice to give my talk tomorrow. But I'll read a couple of stories. I share children's stories to all audiences because I discovered that they're books and we always learn something from books, regardless of how old we are. But I had a really great day today. I offered to read to children today, but I discovered that I was coming in a day early, and I said, well, let's put it to good use. And I do that often because I promote reading aloud. I have my own foundation called the Read It Loud Foundation. Obviously, we have a website, readitloud.org. But it is the most satisfying thing that I do, reading aloud to children. And they surprise me. It is so profound. Today, I read at 3 schools, about 2.5 hours at each school. And the last school, it's where there's Spanish is spoken at the school also. And it was the last class that I read to, first graders. And I have a bag of books that I carry with me. And I'd kind of gone through all of them, and I didn't know what I was going to read. And I looked in my bag, and there in the bag was The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. And I mean, first graders don't usually sit still for The Giving Tree. But something told me to read it anyway. And I was tired, physically somewhat, but not mentally. But I was in such a wonderful state, and it was as it was that those children and I, we met. We literally combined our energies. And I'm sitting on this chair, and there they are before me. And I saw The Giving Tree. And one of the students said, "Oh, I have that book at home." And I said, "Oh, I'm going to be in pretty safe ground with these kids." And I read that book. It is such a profound book. And I was tired, but it's almost as if God positioned me in a way that I would communicate with the children, that my heart would touch their heart. And you could hear a pin drop. And I read that whole book, and not one of them squirmed, not one of them spoke. It was really an incredibly profound moment. And I always cry when I read the book, because it's a very moving book. You know, the guy's gotten old now, and he's just come to the end of the road, and he's just tired, and so it's very touching. And when I finished, I had a little tear in my eye, because it touches me emotionally every single time I read it. So when I finished, there was two students, a little boy and a little girl. These guys were first graders. And the little girl came up, and she was sitting close to the front, and she says, "You know, I was watching you, and when you were reading, and I saw that tears came up in your eyes." And she said, "The same thing happened to me." She said, "But I was crying inside." I have to tell you, I mean, it was just so incredible. And the little gentleman it was so complimentary. And it proves to me that you cannot determine who they are or when they're going to learn or what. My job as a reader is just to read with as much feeling as I would for anyone else. Because they understand. They understand, and we have to give them the benefit of the doubt. So I had a day of that kind of stuff, and it was just very profound. And I just thank you all for making that possible, for taking me up on my offer to read to children. It's the greatest thing we can do, really, because if you read to a child from birth till at least they start school, child will be a reader. And I have a daughter who is 32 years old, I think now. And I was involved with adult literacy. And I switched over maybe 20 plus years ago to reading to children, because I kept wondering how can we get rid of the problem of adult illiteracy? And it seemed pretty obvious that if we created generations of children who could read, then adult illiteracy would go away. And then I discovered that really the best way to get kids reading, I don't like to say kids, children, to get children reading, is to read aloud to them. And So I started that, and I started doing it in Hawaii, and I would do it everywhere I went, and I formed the foundation. And so it really works. So if you have any kids, if you know any children, just go read to them, because if we get them into the habit of reading, then we can get rid of the problem of adult literacy. Just create generations of children who can read, and literacy automatically goes away. But it's so fulfilling. And I've been doing it for a long time now. And today was really a highlight. Those two students at last school. And then I met one of the students there. She lives in a household that speaks 3 languages. I think it's Spanish and there are 2 other languages. And she speaks all 3 languages fluently. She's in her 1st grade. I mean, she speaks all languages fluently, and they don't speak, adults now don't speak English. And wow, so you learn so much, and you hear so much, and at some point all the pieces fit, you know. And it's stuff like that that makes me a better person, and it gives me a reason to live. So, thank you all. Really good shoe. Who said that? All right. See if any age group is here. Aloha. Aloha.
There's a couple. So, would you like some cookies? I found some cookies. They're special. They're very special. They're good. I hear they're very good.
May I taste one?
You certainly may.
Best cookie you've ever eaten.
I wonder if I would recognize the taste.
You just might. So, while you're tasting,
Yes.
I'm going to talk about and bring up our next lineup speaker.
No, water destroys the taste.
So, I think most people really know our next guest primarily through TV and film, but really he's so much more than a voice artist or an actor. This man is really concerned with the future of our country, with the future and the state of manufacturing, and is actually doing things to help address that with the youth of America. And we're certainly going to hear more about that later on. I'm certainly sure you've all been reading about him. But without any further delay this evening, Mr. John Ratzenberger.
I got to be honest with you. The only reason I came tonight is I heard Wally was going to be here. I knew there'd be free cookies. I'll save these till later.
How long are you, obviously, for you?
I think we met a long time ago. It was Flanders Fields or something, you know. That long ago.
I mean, such a wonderful area.
I don't have my uniform on either. You know, actually,
This is your uniform.
to back up what you were saying too, I was thinking of a story with my kids. I used to read to them when they were, you know, very, very young, right from the get-go. But I'd read them things like Don Quixote and Dante, things like that. But because I realized all they want is you to be there, and then for the rest of their lives they associate words and books with love and caring.
Yes, they do.
And you never and so they both did real well, and they can still read and all that. Actually, I took them off to Belgium for a while, and we were bicycling down this canal path, and my daughter pointed to the big statue of Don Quixote and said, "Dad, remember you used to read that to us?" And I was shocked because it was like she was 2 years old.
Oh, wow.
But she remembered somehow. She put it together.
All they remember.
Yeah.
It goes in there, it stays in there.
Oh,
Touch it.
changed my life was James Fenimore Cooper books with Danny Bumppo and Deer Slayer, Vasco the Mohicans.
Confirmation that
Yeah.
reading aloud to children works. Another confirmation.
Yeah, because I remember that my whole career is based on that because Danny Bumpo, the Deer Slayer, the fellow that Daniel Day-Lewis played in the movie, his real name is Nathaniel Bumpo. That's, the natives called him Deer Slayer or Hawkeye. Anyway, I was fascinated as a child when I was reading that this guy would just go off into the woods. He didn't know anybody. And he figured it out along the way. So consequently, when I was younger, I became a carpenter and I had the skills. I could go anywhere I want. I ended up in England for 10 years. And I realized that I had the ability to do that because I grew up reading those books. And that's where I started my acting career, was in England. Just, well, we'll figure it out when we get there. Yeah.
All of life, that's the way life works, because there are no manuals when you come here. There are no instructions, there are no directions. And by and large, you do have to figure it out. And the stronger your foundation, the better you become at figuring it out.
And that's what makes America the great country that it is. But anyway, we'll see you all tomorrow, and thanks for the, boy, the meat was good. Who cooked that tonight? Good? We cooked this, Al. So, thank you all, and God bless us all, and cheers. Well, who's got milk?
You don't need milk with those.
This is just a very little sample of what we're in store for tomorrow. So I really hope that everybody will be joining us tomorrow. I think it'll be really informative. I think it'll be fun, and it'll be another memorable conference. And for this evening, I really do wish to thank all of you for spending some time here with us this evening. It's been very special for me, and I think it's been very special for Josh and all the other folks with the Board of Trade.
California's 23rd district, and is currently the majority leader in the U.S. House of Representatives. Kevin was first elected to Congress in 2006, is a native of Bakersfield and a fourth-generation Kern County resident. Who's here from Kern County?
Everyone in attendance is part of an effort to revitalize and revigorate our local economy through their continued hard work, perseverance, and ingenuity. Our region has a rich history of cutting-edge work founded in the mentality of pushing the envelope of what is possible. Our area's greatness has been built on its innovative spirit. When you look throughout the Antelope Valley, there are exciting developments in defense, aerospace, and energy. And it's because of the hard-working people of our community. Our region is a place where things are made. Ideas become reality, and if you can dream it, you can build it. I look forward to working with you all as we work to build a strong and more prosperous Antelope Valley. Thank you, and God bless.
First of all, I want to thank you for allowing me to participate today. And I've got a little bit to share with you about the County of Kern. Kern County continues to generate the kind of headlines that we like to see. We're tops in the nation for GDP growth, averaging over 6% per year for the last 3 years. We continue to help lead the nation out of the Great Recession. And we're a great place for young professionals to build their careers, especially if they're in the science, technology, engineering, or math-related fields. Diversity is the key to a strong economy, and the Antelope Valley has it in spades. From aerospace and defense to wind and solar power, agriculture, mining, and film and tourism, East Kern checks a lot of economic boxes. Kern County government works very hard to sustain this growth by offering location assistance, job training, help in fast permitting of projects. We know that for any project, but especially in the fast-paced technology and energy industries, time is money. So at Kern County, we're all about saying yes. We continue to explore and expand the bounds of flight, not only at Edwards and China Lake, but in the private aerospace projects at Mojave Air and Spaceport. Firms such as Virgin Galactic, Stratolaunch, X-Corp, Maston, and Incotech are making exciting advances that have brought international attention to the Antelope Valley. Aerospace and defense account for more than 22,000 jobs in East Kern. And Edwards Air Force Base and the Naval Air Weapons Center Weapons Division at China Lake are a big reason for that. As the nation's premier military RDT&E centers, they not only equip our military to win, they spin off tremendous valuable technologies, and together they generate nearly $3 billion in economic value for the region. In 2011, the Board of Supervisors decided that we would be the renewable energy capital of California. Our sun and wind and the ideal location demanded that we pursue an aggressive plan to develop these resources. We set a target of permitting 10,000 megawatts of wind and solar power by 2015. Well, it's early 2015 right now, and we have nearly 9,200 megawatts already permitted. So we're very close to reaching that goal. And the industry is advancing power storage technology with demonstration projects like Southern California Edison's 32 megawatt battery in Tehachapi, the largest in North America. Storage is going to be a key to expanding the role of renewables in our power grid. But they're working on large portable batteries also at China Lake for other important reasons. And you can imagine the benefits to both our national security and public safety of having distributed backup power in case of emergency or attack. Wind and solar power have brought huge new investments to the area, as well as much needed tax revenues to help finance county services. New farming industries have begun to sprout. They started growing carrots up there. And where is the added value in carrots? Well, as you know, baby carrots we buy at the supermarket come from Mama and Papa carrots. And that magic happens at the processing plants that employ thousands of workers nearly year-round and turn out healthy carrot-based juices. Sun Select has invested in major greenhouse facilities to grow peppers and other produce like tomatoes. The altitude avoids the searing summer heat of the lowlands, and the greenhouse takes care of the cold temperatures that we have during the winter. And a few courageous visionaries have created a small miracle in Tehachapi, our wine. And if you really good award-winning wine, if you haven't tried the Zinfandel at Triassic Legacy or Sousa Family Vineyards Primitivo, then you're in for a treat. So we invite all of you to come up and visit us in the Cummings Valley. Kern County's own Board of Trade promotes film and tourism, and East Kern locales, the Antelope Valley, attract much of the business. Tourism is big business in Kern County, and those 106 film projects represent 75% of all the filming done in Kern County last year. People don't come to Kern County just for the area's spectacular scenery. We also have wide open spaces to play with big boy toys, and our aviation and aerospace exploits have created a rich heritage of their own that we can show to the world. And just as Holland has its windmills, we've got some impressive machines of our own, as I'm sure all of you have seen. You recognize the enormous scale of these windmills when you pull up next to an oversized big rig carrying just one single 100-foot rotor. Of course, before windmills, solar panels, airplanes, rockets, and spaceships, people came here for what was in the ground. Rio Tinto continues the 20-mule team tradition, producing borates that are integral to all kinds of manufacturing products from one of the largest mines in the world. Cal Portland and Lehigh Cement goes into some of the largest public and private infrastructure projects ever built. And at the legendary Soledad Mountain, Golden Queen Mining is about to open a new page in the storied history of gold mining in our region. Finally, I want to end by reminding all of us why any of these numbers really matter, and that's people. Without people, nothing could be made in the Antelope Valley. I am so proud of the Boron Bobcats. I saw some the smallest high school that's still playing 11-man football in the state. And I am proud of the next generation that is stepping forward to take their place and make their mark in our community. The success that we celebrate today is the foundation on which they will all build their own legacy. Thank you all very much. Alliance East Kern Educational Resource Network has worked successfully to protect the mission of the Air Force Test Center and R-2508 controlled airspace from the Department of Defense base realignment and closure process, and to promote educational opportunities in East Kern and the Antelope Valley. The importance of these valuable assets to the nation and the region is explained in a video recently produced by this organization. Here is an abbreviated version of the video, which is dedicated to the memory of the late Bob Johnstone, whose valuable contributions to this group helped make it and its mission possible.
Edwards Air Force Base has a powerful asset that is unparalleled, and that is R2508, an airspace that is restricted for commercial and advanced military testing. As our skies have become congested, as air travel has become a predominant means of transportation, the value of this protected pocket of vertical real estate will become even more apparent for the testing of civilian, military, and space vehicles.
Hi, I'm Joe Strauss, President of U.S. Coal Company. In a moment, you're going to see a brief presentation on U.S. Coal Company, produced by John Ratzenberger's Made in America show. Made in America is exactly what we at U.S. Coal Company feature. We're proud of the fact that our extremely broad product offering is manufactured entirely in the United States. As you can imagine, we were very excited when advised that the show chose U.S. Coal Company to feature, since it's rare for a privately held corporation to get national exposure. From a four-person beginning in 1984 as a subtenant, sharing a small industrial building, to a 5-facility, 300-plus employee corporation, featuring design, engineering, tooling, manufacturing, finishing, assembly, packaging, and shipping, we've turned our vision into a 100% vertically integrated company so that we can service you with the finest outdoor lighting product. Thanks for giving us your time, and please enjoy the Made in America presentation.
Country, small towns, and big cities, visiting factories and workshops, searching for the soul of America. And you know what? I found it everywhere. So sit back and relax, because we've got it made in America. About 40 miles north of Hollywood, a town founded on dreams, is Palmdale, California, a town where dreams actually come true. Dreams of flying, that is. Here on the southern edge of the Mojave Desert, the presence of Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and other high flyers make this the aerospace capital of America. This sun-drenched desert is also where you'll find the U.S. Coal Company, which spends its days making street lamps that brighten our nights. Company President Joe Strauss has been a 20-year veteran of the lighting industry when he founded U.S. Coal in 1984. Back then, he and 4 employees started off making just poles, but soon expanded into making lighting as well.
We had some competition who was making lighting, try to compete with us. We decided we better compete.
Now 275 U.S. Coal employees turn on a wide variety of commercial fixtures that you see in shopping centers, in parks, along roadways, and almost anywhere people gather. Given how tall the poles are, you can imagine how big the factory is. From ground level, industrial lamps may not look much more complicated than poles with light bulbs stuck in their mouths, but that's hardly the case. Just ask lighting engineer Tim Carahair.
We start with the lamp, and we design the facets on the reflector here to throw up specific distribution on the ground.
So you can pinpoint the light?
Absolutely.
Today, they want no light pollution. Right. So we designed these reflectors where all the light is directed down. So you can step out of your house, even though it's a full city, and look up, you can see the stars. That's the goal, yes.
Modern times, modern problems, modern solutions.
This is a new product design, working with high-power LEDs.
LEDs, those are the tiny little lights.
You gotcha. They're very bright. This is actually going to be a spotlight when we're all finished with it.
Are these the lights themselves?
Yes, they are.
No kidding, they're tiny little things, huh?
And then all this is built to get rid of the heat. The first design criteria when you're working with LEDs is get rid of the heat. And then everything will go well from there.
It says right here, made in USA.
Gotcha.
Welcome back to U.S. Coal. maker of the products that take the dark out of the night. It behooves a company that's vertically oriented to be vertically integrated as well. Design, engineering, tooling, casting, and finishing are all done right here, and for a very good reason.
We don't want to tell a customer we have to wait for a part from the supplier. We are the supplier. We had a competitor that took 2.5 years to make an arm like this. We shipped this to Connecticut in 2 weeks after we got an order.
Why did you go to poles and not say roller skates or hang gliders?
Poles were easy to make.
It's a surprise to learn that making a giant pole into a giant lamp entails an awful lot of artistry. It can be done using a number of techniques, like spinning. Luis Romero is the factory foreman.
They say that flat piece of aluminum forming it around a hard tool or a mold. That's how you come up with this shape.
Oh, he moves it down a notch.
Yeah.
We went from this to this. It's like a big frisbee. You guys play with these at lunchtime? Throw them around?
Better not say the boss is here.
Sure, yeah. Ready?
A little bit more?
Okay. Even here, an outsider can sometimes see things from a fresh perspective, leading to opportunities that insiders might miss.
You know, when you're at the airport, the guy's yakking on his cell phone, have these so they can come down like this. So you're talking on your cell phone here without disturbing everybody else.
In the casting area, the most intricate lamp designs begin in the sand. This is special sand dough, called Elvian. It's packed into the mold with an air rammer.
It has angular angles so it'll bind together.
Oh, they're really hard. The actual crystals.
Right.
First one half, then the other.
I wish I'd had one of those in a sandbox when I was a kid.
Yeah, that would have really done a good job.
I would spend a lot more time there.
When the sand is tight enough to hold its shape, a small hole is made.
And that's where you're going to pour the metal in?
Yeah, you gotta leave a little spot so the material doesn't overflow.
What you don't see is more complicated than what you do see.
Whenever we need a hollow part, we need to have a core inside there so that the metal flows around it.
The sand has to be packed just so. Once the pattern is removed, the core is laid in. Now the mold is ready for the metal. Aluminum ingots are melted in a crucible that reaches more than 1,200 degrees. Pouring has to be done evenly, but also quickly to keep the holes from clogging.
Same thing with cement. You can't pour it all and let it dry. And it's all got to be done at the same time, same temperature.
That's right.
10 minutes of cooling is usually enough to come out of the mold. After a good cleaning, it's time to assemble the pieces.
That's good.
There's something really important to consider before welding a 16-foot pole. Physics.
With a soft material and heat being applied to it, there's a tendency to sag if you do it horizontally.
That's why U.S. pole ceiling is 30 feet high. And there's a system for vertical access. The result is a pole that stands straighter than Mrs. Hunyadi in her army uniform. Each cast aluminum piece has to be trimmed, welded, sanded, and painted. Then the fixtures are wired, tested, and completed.
I see what they're putting together. This is the
They're
reflector.
putting together the optical systems.
Oh, see, I call it a reflector. You call it an optical
Well,
system.
you're right, it's a reflector.
There you go.
At last, the question arises. How in the 80s do you ship something this big? The answer is obvious. Cardboard box, of course. And don't forget the bubble wrap. Lots and lots of bubble wrap. In a place like this, it's especially important to remember what Dad taught you. Last one to leave, turns out the lights.
He leads a wing of 7,700 personnel in the development, tests, and evaluation of F-35, F-22, F-16, B-1, B-2, B-52, C-17, C-130, KC-135, Global Hawk, jointly remotely piloted aircraft, and emerging technologies. Sounds like a lot. Additionally, General Brewer is the installation commander responsible for operating the base and supporting more than 12,000 active duty, reserve, civil service, and defense contractors at Edwards, the second largest base in the U.S. Air Force, by the way. Edwards Air Force Base is our largest employer, which I think you'll quickly be reminded of if you're anywhere near Roseman Boulevard on any given weekday, right? In rush hour traffic. Please welcome General Michael Brewer.
Hey, you got 7 minutes. I go, I can't say hello in 7 minutes. So I will do my best to go quick, but it might be a little bit longer. So there was got in trouble. There's a politician, a councilman got in trouble, and he was going to the guillotine. And they put him in the guillotine, and they drop the guillotine, and it comes down, and it stops right before impact. And so they pull him out and go, well, we can't do execution twice. You're free to go. And then they brought in a businessman who was in trouble as well, and brought him to the guillotine. Same thing, guillotine blade comes down and stops right beforehand, and they go, well, I guess you can walk free. And then they brought in a test pilot who was not doing well. They put the test pilot in the guillotine, and just within, you get him all strapped in, he looks up and goes, oh, I see the problem. Now, I will tell you, I was not going to start with a joke at all, but after that shaving thing, I feel I had to cleanse my mind. This will take me a while to cleanse that one out, I tell you. If you bear with me, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about my perception, a little bit on the nature of warfare. Here's let's see if I can work that. I'm not smart enough to work the equipment. How do I make this go? If I say slide, will somebody make it go? How about that? And I'll just put this down. It's a technology issue apparently. There we go. We'll just go off the slides and I'll let you hit the button. So this is a little historic perspective. This is Claude Monet. In the Civil War, we would have called him Mini. And go to the next slide. His invention was the mini ball. This was the first time as an expanding round that went into a rifle with a rifle barrel. They changed the nature of warfare. Back in the early days, you know what I say, ready, aim, fire. In the day, they used to say ready, level, fire. As you flew, shot smooth bore muskets. There really was no aiming. You just shot rounds in the general direction. He changed the nature of the warfare with a rifle barrel and an expanding bullet that now fit into the grooves of the rifle. That's why we have so many casualties. One of the reasons we have so many casualties in the Civil War. Changed the nature of warfare. This technology. Next slide. Comanche, finest light horsemen in the world. They were tried to be defeated by the Spanish and the Mexicans, westward expansion. Finest. In the time it took to load a musket, they could shoot 10 arrows. Undefeatable in the West. Next slide. This gentleman started out as a clothes manufacturer, which you can tell by his garb. His name was Winchester. Next slide. With the advancement of the repeating rifle, the Comanche could no longer compete. Next slide. He looks German. This is Hiram Maxim. Next slide. He is the inventor of the Maxim machine gun, first light machine gun, portable machine gun. It was able to shoot the same number of rounds as 30 infantrymen with a bolt-action rifle. That's why World War I was so costly. Next slide. Physical courage, tactics, heroics. These are all necessary things in combat. But they are not sufficient. They are not sufficient. Next slide. What makes us efficient, ladies and gentlemen, is technology is what wins wars. I think I've just demonstrated that to you. And that's what changes the world. Next slide. Every day. Every day there are people in this world who get up with one goal in mind, and that is to kill Americans. But I tell you what, every day, next slide, every day there are men and women who go to work at Edwards Air Force Base, Plant 42, who get up with one mind, and that is to protect Americans. And they're we need our contractors to be successful, and we need the community to be successful, because that's where our support comes from. Next slide. Since it's the board of trade, we have to talk about this, right? It's not about the money. It really is about producing the equipment that protects the nation, but it does take a lot of money in order to make that happen. So if you look at Edwards Air Force Base, just in terms of payroll, that top bar up there in the top left, $540 million just in payroll. If you go and take a look at the contracts that are let on the base, nearly $250 million worth of contracts as well into operating the base. And then obviously the follow-on economic impact that goes with all those dollars that get spent here. This portion of Plant 42 is now part of the 412 test wing. Our acquires our LCMC, Life Cycle Management Center, still manages the leasing of the facilities out there to the contractors. But again, the operation of the airfield is now part of Edwards Air Force Base, part of the 412 test wing. So if you add in the economic impact that happens around Plant 42, and of course this includes all the contractors that work there, payrolls, if you add it all up at that base, is over $600 million. So if you compare that to main base plus the activity that happens down at Plant 42, it's a big piece of what goes on in the valley, as you all know. Next slide. So again, this is my last go. So I am due to depart here on the 31st of March. And the fortunate thing is the guy who's replacing me is much better than me. I know him very well. And he will do you much better than I have. And he's a fantastic guy. But what I'd like to do before I step off is say thank you. It's like I said, I've been a wing commander now 3 times. It's my 3rd time being a wing commander. I have to pay penance and go to the staff now. But 3 times wing commander, worked with 3 different communities. And I tell you, we've never had greater support out of anyone, my wife and I, and the folks on base that we do in the Antelope Valley. So again, thank you very much.
Okay, so if you could go ahead and run the video for me, please.
We can only
fly, we explore, we measure, we reveal, and we discover the overlooked and unexpected for the benefit of the nation, for the benefit of humankind.
We're going to ride off into sunrise.
Intersected by the great trees.
Copy 29.5, shown here, but complete. High-speed research is hopefully at one point in time going to allow supersonic flight commercially over the U.S. and throughout the world.
November 02 Sierra traffic, 2 o'clock.
Visual about 3.2. Spot on. Passing through 10,000.
Perfect. You guys made history today. No one has ever proven that vortices go anywhere except at the wing.
Fiber optic system tells us how much the wing is bending in real time. This technology eventually should be applied to completely flexible wings. That's the future.
The new flaps have promised to be lighter, more efficient, quieter, more like a bird, more without any use of hinges and joints and things like that.